In 1947, in a small workshop in Maranello, Italy, a man who had spent nearly 2 decades building racecars for other companies finally built one under his own name. His name was Enzo Ferrari, and the car was the 125S. It would become the first car the world ever knew as a Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari wasn't new to racing. For years he had run Scuderia Ferrari, a racing team that fielded cars for Alfa Romeo, managing drivers and competing across Europe. But in 1939, after a falling out with Alfa Romeo, he was barred from using the Ferrari name and racing for 4 years. He used that time to build a small company, Auto Avio Costruzioni, which technically produced its first car in 1940. But the Second World War interrupted everything, and it wasn't until 1947, once the ban had expired and the war had ended, that Enzo Ferrari could finally put his own name on a car. The 125S was small, light, and built with racing as its only purpose. Its name came from its engine, a 1.5-liter, 12-cylinder engine, with each cylinder displacing about 125 cubic centimeters, hence 125. This V12 layout wasn't an accident. Enzo Ferrari believed the V12 configuration was the ultimate racing engine format, smooth and capable of high revolutions, and it became a signature of the brand for decades afterward. The engine was designed by Gioacchino Colombo, a gifted engineer who had previously worked on race engines at Alfa Romeo. His V12 design for the 125S produced around 118 horsepower, an impressive figure for a car of that size and era, and it could rev higher than most engines being built at the time. The 125S made its competitive debut on May 11, 1947, at the Piacenza circuit in Italy. It didn't win that first race, retiring due to a fuel pump issue. But just 2 weeks later, at the Grand Prix of Rome, the 125S won its first race outright, with Franco Cortese behind the wheel. It was the first of what would eventually become thousands of race victories carrying the Ferrari name. Only a small handful of 125S cars were ever built, and none are known to survive in their original form today. Some were later modified or rebuilt into other models as Ferrari's early cars evolved rapidly year to year, a common practice in an era when racecars were treated as ever-changing tools rather than fixed, precious objects. What makes the 125S significant isn't its size, its power, or even its rarity. It's what it represents, the starting point of a brand that would go on to define an entire category of automobile. Every V12 Ferrari that followed, every championship, every red car crossing a finish line first, traces its lineage back to this one small, unassuming race car built in a workshop in 1947. Enzo Ferrari would go on to build a company that dominated Formula One, redefined what a road car could be, and turned the prancing horse into one of the most recognized symbols in the world. But it all started with a simple idea: build the best V12 racing engine possible, put it in the lightest car possible, and go win. Nearly 80 years later, Ferrari still builds V12 engines. It's a direct line back to the 125S, and to a man who spent his whole life chasing one thing: speed, on his own terms, under his own name.